Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello.
We're having a look today at our Skitarii Rangers, which is quite good. What do we know about Skitarii Rangers?
They are all mechanical and they are the main force, main army.
Yes. Well, they're cyborgs. They're technically humans in suits, but if you look carefully, they don't actually have feet. Their feet are replaced by mechanical feet because they're more efficient. Some of their hands and arms are replaced. Pretty much they're a brain in a box with a human body. Some will have more human bodies, some won't. So it's although these guys are relatively uniform in the box because it's just one of those things. So what do you want to do? Do you want to go into the background of the Skitarii or do you want to run through the rules?
Let's run through the rules.
Run through the rules first, okay. Skitarii are standard infantry more than anything else. So standard 6-inch movement, 4+ weapon skill, 3+ ballistic, 3 and 3 for toughness and strength, 1 wound. That's about it. They're really average. They're not that much above Imperial Guard, really. In fact, they're other than the 4+ save roll, they basically are Imperial Guard.
That's not great.
It's not great, and but what's good about them is their weapons, and the fact that you can get a Dominus to slave them. So a Dominus can take them over, or the law. So that's quite interesting if you can do that. They also have blessings of the Canticles of the Omnissiah, which is awesome, which we've done a video on.
Yes.
But anyway, so we'll run through the equipment they've got. They carry, these are Rangers, so they're not the Vanguard type troops. They're Rangers, their officers carry a phosphor blast pistol or a Serpenter.
Ooh. Is that one there?
He's carrying a Serpenter.
Yeah.
I've got another one here with a phosphor. I'll just stick him in, he's an officer as well. He's got the phosphor blast pistol, which is quite good. Right, so the Serpenter is just a pistol. It's just like a normal las pistol, except you roll a 6 to wound and you get 2 wounds instead of 1.
So basically it's useless if you're shooting someone with 1 wound.
Yes, if you're shooting at Imperial Guard or Tyranid Gaunts, it's useless, but you're shooting at Gene Stealer. Sorry, in 8th edition, the Gene Stealers.
Space Marine? Ooh, you could kill Space Marine with 1 hit.
You can. Hang on, but do Gene Stealers have 2 wounds now or 1? I'm not sure in 8th edition.
Do not know.
We have a Gene Stealer army, but we haven't painted it yet. So I haven't read the book yet. I just got the figures. So I'll get back to you on that one. Right, anyway. So it's not a brilliant weapon, but it's relatively useful. It's a relatively useful weapon if you're firing at, say, officers, command figures, things like that. Things with more than 1 wound.
Or any Primaris Space Marine.
Yeah. Secondly, you have the phosphor blast pistol. Again, it's a pistol. It's only got 12-inch range, but it's got strength of 6, AP -1. Good thing about that, it ignores cover.
Ooh. Because
the plasma round it fires is linked to your targeter in your brain, in your head.
So it just goes around.
Yeah, it goes around corners. So if you see the target, you know it's there, you know it's behind cover, and you shoot and the bullet goes around the cover. That's quite good. Then it has a galvanic rifle. This is the standard weapon that they're all equipped with. Rapid fire 1, strength of 4, so equivalent to a bolter. So I did equate these with Imperial Guard. Imperial Guard have las rifles which only do strength 3. These do strength 4, so the equivalent to Space Marine weapons. And if you get a wound roll of 6, you -1 AP. So technically you could end up with a you find it a lot easier to take on troops with armour, but not troops with a large amount of armour.
Yeah, like 10 meters.
Yeah, you're useless against stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's not bad. Strength 4 with a chance of -1 AP. So again, it's a roll of a 6, so it's a 1 in 6 chance.
Yeah.
Not going to pop up that often. Unless you're playing them, in which case it'll pop up continuously. Then we have the arquebus, which is this guy here. This guy is awesome. He's got a nice little rifle, and it's a bit out of focus, that. Brand new camera. Still figuring out how it works. The arquebus has a range of 60 inches. It's heavy 1, so it only fires 1 shot. Strength 7, -2 AP, D3 wounds. And on top of that, if you roll a 6 to wound on your D3 wounds, you get yourself a mortal wound.
Ooh.
So it's automatic wound, which is pretty good. And it fires 3 rounds, so... I mean, it does 3 damage, so you can get up to 3 hits. Then we have the plasma caliver, which is this chap here. Just here, nice little chap. Is that even in focus? I can't tell. Can you tell?
Yeah, it's in focus.
Yeah, it's in focus. This is a plasma weapon, fires 2 shots, and it's an assault weapon. Strength 7 or 8, because you can supercharge it. Most of the time there's no point supercharging, because if you roll a roll of a 1, you die.
Yeah.
I don't really see why mechanicus stuff would do that.
Yeah, I think they have a fail-safe, wouldn't they?
Yes, because they are with the squat, or were with the squats. The squats, the plasma weapons are not supposed to explode, right? And there's one of the background lore. There's a guy firing a plasma weapon, and the squat gets the plasma gun, and he's tinkering with it, and he gives it back. And the guy's like, well, why is this, what have you done to it? And he says, oh, I've stopped it from overcharging, it's not supposed to do that. So it's an accident, you're not supposed to supercharge the weapon. It's actually, the weapon isn't supposed to do that. The squat fixes it. But that's back in the old days when we had dwarves. We don't have space dwarves anymore. Well, we have space dwarves, don't we?
Yeah.
But they're not in current, there isn't a current army for them. And then a power sword, which power sword is a power sword, and it does what a power sword does. So, I'm not even bothering with that. Right, bionics. All troops have a 6+ invulnerable save. Now, again, I mentioned with the Imperial Guard, these guys all have a 4+ save. Now, there are some weapons which will tear through 4+ saves. Plasma weapons for a start. Heavy weapons will tear through anything with a 4+ save, but you have an invulnerable save to fall back on. So with a 6, you can save yourself against horrific damage. I mean, huge amounts of damage.
Pretty lucky.
Yes, pretty good. In a way, it's a bit like having the skill the zombies have.
Yeah, 5 and 6+.
Yeah, but this one's 6,
yeah.
so it's useful. It's something good to fall back on. Then you have one chap carries an omnispecs. I think you can have 2 of these in a squad. So you can double up the amount of omnispecs you have. You can only use 1, but if he gets killed, then you've got a backup. The omnispecs targets get no cover save when you have an omnispecs in the unit.
Right.
Then you have the data tether, which is you re-rolled failed morale. And I mentioned the dominus before, didn't I? That's when a dominus is exerting their own mind over the Skitarii, so it takes the Skitarii over effectively. All these guides their actions. So when your commander is issuing orders, the dominus issues orders through him or her, and the data tether allows the dominus, when a unit fails morale, to take over that unit for that moment and steady the unit.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and some Skitarii do enjoy being taken over by dominus, because it brings them closer to the machine spirit.
And that's disturbing, very disturbing.
Yes, it is disturbing. And of course they have Canticles of the Omnisire, which you roll each turn, and you've got a various amount of different canticles you can use, or you can do whatever. You can have it as a set thing, but it's whatever you do. that's the overall rules and stuff. What do you think of that?
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's pretty awesome, yeah. They're a decent unit. To say these are the infantry...
The regulars, yeah. When
Yeah.
the Imperial Marines, Imperial Guard out.
Yeah, Imperial Guard are rubbish, and everything else has to be stacked on top to back them up,
Yeah.
otherwise they get slaughtered.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys can stand their own. They can actually take on a unit of orcs and have a decent chance of winning, or a unit of Tyranids and have a decent chance of winning. Imperial Guard, a squad of guard against a squad of orcs, the orcs walk over them.
Yeah, where's the Space Marines?
Yeah,
help.
the orcs probably don't even notice that they're dealing with Imperial Guard. They just walk over them. They notice there's some buzzing sounds, a few cracks, and
All civilians, aren't
yeah,
they?
and then they got a slight ache in their arm from repeatedly hitting things. Whereas these guys, you're going to notice these guys are here. These guys can do damage to you even on their own, and even against vehicles.
Yeah.
Whereas, Imperial Guard, the average infantry, you're going to need a heavy weapons team to take a vehicle on. These guys, don't worry about it. Downside is they don't have grenades.
Yeah, that is kind of a downside.
Because you'd think they'd have things like haywire grenades and stuff like that to take out vehicles. Some other units do have them in the Adeptus Mechanicus armaments. So you can use a haywire grenade, which does more damage to, or various grenades do more damage to vehicles than they do to normal people. And various weapons do too, but not this unit. So who are the Skitarii then? We've done the rules, we'll cover the lore bit of them. Who are they?
The Adeptus Mechanicus.
Adeptus Mechanicus, they're the regular infantry. These guys, you can drop them on a planet and they will fight to the death.
Well, it's probably because they don't really have a conscience.
Well, they do. They have a brain in there somewhere. There's something squishy inside them.
Yeah, but not something that thinks like an old person.
No, they're just really, really dedicated to what they do. Once they become a Skitarii and they're in battle, they will carry out their orders to the last bullet and the last man. They are absolutely dedicated to combat. They're a bit like... I was going to say a bit like fire warriors, but they're not really, because the fire warriors do run away on occasion. These guys don't tend to run away. They will stand their ground. If you're fighting a battle and you've got some mechanicus part of your army and they're not actually the main part of your army, your mechanicus are the guys you use to hold a position. They're not going to hold up against big heavy tanks, but against most things they come across, they're going to be able to at least slow them down, if not actually win. They've got the invulnerability save, they've got quite a lot going for them. As a basic unit, they're good. So if you're Imperial Guard, you've got a unit of Mechanicus, class the Mechanicus as elites.
Yeah.
Class them as your shock troops, your best troops. I like these guys. I like the background to them, and it's quite good. I get a lot of my information from Mechanicus for new lore, and there's a lot of old mechanical lore, but it doesn't really fit in with the modern Adeptus Mechanicus armies. Mechanicus has only really, pre the Heresy books, and all the books that came out after that, the Mechanicus were sort of just the people who did the hard work for the Imperium. They're the people who built stuff, they're the people who ran the tanks and things like that, but they weren't regular soldiers. There were references to Skitarii quite a lot in old lore, such as when the Tyranids first turn up. The first story of a Tyranids meeting humans, the base was defended by Skitarii. There were Skitarii, a unit of Kachan jungle fighters, God knows why they were there.
More places to be.
And some Imperial Guardsmen. But the Skitarii were the ones that actually held the line and held the Tyranids back until the artillery was destroyed. So that's when they really popped up first, but there were no figures for them. So what we did, we got zombies and Imperial Guard and put the two together and put a few mechanical bits on them and used those as Skitarii back in the day. Now we actually have figures for them, and I love these guys. There's pretty decent figures, and I like the Mechanicus army. Another thing the Mechanicus mainly did was run things like Titans.
Oh yeah.
So all your Titans were Mechanicus crewed. So when the first Titans came out...
Well, that's what happens when they're the only ones that can make them.
Yes, and so they were the Mechanicus crew. The only person who wasn't a Mechanicus crewman A mechanicus was the pilot. The pilot and a couple of the princeps and a couple of other guys. All the rest of the staff were mechanicus. But there were houses that provided there were great houses that provided the pilots. So the princeps, they came from sort of houses that were attached to the mechanicus, a bit like rogue traders. But nowadays, these houses are actually within the mechanicus. So they're sort of tied to the mechanicus now. And if you go back with some of the heresy books, Titan Death, yeah, he goes into one of the first Titan legions, the all-female legion. And there was an all-male legion, which is a bit weird, and they had the two together, and they ended up being enemies. One backed Horus and one didn't, but it went into where the princeps came from, how the princeps trained, how they ended up getting to where they were. And they were households of the mechanicus, so that's back to the heresy. So they were mechanicus-aligned households. So the mechanicus came to these worlds in the middle of nowhere, which still had knights. What are the knights? The half titans, the tiny titans, little titchy titans. They're called knights, imperial knights.
Yeah.
Those worlds had these, but they were mostly steam powered because they lost technology. But they still had operational knights. And mechanicus turned up and said, "We've got battle titans. Do you want to crew these battle titans? Because you already designed, you're already trained to crew these knights, the night worlds." And
basically, here's an upgrade.
Yes. Now you're not in a 18 feet tall knight. You're now in a 45 or 100 foot tall warlord titan or weaver titan. It's job. And that was they were all mechanicus, but they weren't upgraded mechanicus in the way that we see mechanicus today, because that was heresy period. Whereas now they're fully engaged with the law now, so mechanicus is their own faction.
Yeah.
And you've learned a lot about them in the Great Work. Belisarius called the Great Work. You get a good insight into mechanicus workings, how policy works inside mechanicus. I haven't read Dark Mechanicum. I've read one of the Dark Mechanicum books, not the actual original. I haven't read that yet. I don't know if there's anything in that, but also the Space Wolf book. What's the Space Wolf book where they attack the Harafnikel? And he uses the Emperor's sword to stab
You said
Horus.
Wolfbane, didn't you?
Wolfbane. Yeah, Wolfbane. In Wolfbane you get a lot of stuff about Belisarius Cawl in there. It's quite interesting. And Wolfbane, the Belisarius Cawl story in Wolfbane is a prequel to The Great Work. Belisarius Cawl The Great Work, which is set now. So if you read Wolfbane, you can then read The Great Work straight after it, and even though that's in the middle of the heresy Wolfbane, it carries on in The Great Work, because it's the story of Belisarius Cawl. It's quite interesting, so it carries on straight after. In fact, in Wolfbane, Belisarius Cawl escapes in a ship, and in Belisarius Cawl, he lands the ship after escaping. So that's how close they are connected. It's like Star Wars: A New Hope and
Halo Reach and Halo 1.
No, Star Wars: New Hope, and what's the one before Star Wars: New Hope, which has just been made?
The one before Star Wars New Hope?
Yeah, right before Star Wars: New Hope.
Rogue One?
Yeah, Rogue One.
Yeah.
So it's just like Rogue One and Star Wars: New Hope. It's scene for scene. It's really good. Not scene for scene as in what happens, but
End of the movie, beginning of the movie.
Yes, that movie ends with that ship flying, and then you can actually link the next film straight after it. That's how the two books work. And it's all about the Mechanicus and the inner workings of the Mechanicus and how Belisarius Cawl deals with it.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. It's an interesting work. So that's it. Can't think of much else. Can you think of anything else to add?
Not really, no.
No?
Pretty
Nothing?
cool troops, aren't they?
They are. You may notice the bases. The bases are based with the spare bits, or the bases for the drop troops, the jump pack troops. These are the bases that come with them. But I took them off the jump pack troops because I based them different. I based them on ice. So these I've used for the Mechanicus, and I made a few bases out of cogs. Just stuck some cogs on the base and some snow. I just thought that looked cool.
Yeah, it fits into their army, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, contrast.
Yeah, so they've got sort of junk, cogs, bits of metal on their bases, but it's covered up by snow. I thought it was quite cool. There's little skulls all over the place. I did intend to put skulls on all the bases. Unfortunately, Nurgle gave a gift to the humanity recently, and the ability to gain new bits for bases like skulls has ceased to exist. I would assume it comes from an area hard hit by said plague.
Yeah, we'll get them one day.
Yeah, we will get them one day. We have them on order, but I don't know when we're going to get them. And also our old camera's gone, so we have a new camera, hence we haven't done a video for a bit, so that's just filling you in.
Problem solved now though?
Yes, problem solved now. Now I've got to figure out how this thing works though. So I think we're recording.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So thank you for watching. You have any questions? Finished the
I
video?
just do the outro thing.
Oh, do the outro.
Thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please click like. Any comments, put in the comments bar, and subscribe because we need subscribers because it's fun.
Yeah, we lost quite a few recently
Yeah.
for obvious, things.
And the bell icon.
Oh yeah,
Click the bell.
click the bell. And so you used to shout at me for saying that.
Yeah, I did, but then now it's like, who doesn't want a notification?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, that's good. I get notifications all the time, and I haven't got a clue who these people are because I didn't follow them. I don't know who they are. I keep getting things in my feed, my YouTube feed of people I've never heard of. I'm not interested, There's especially a lot of politics stuff. I'd just rather watch 40k these days. I don't want to watch. I'm not interested. Right, done.
Right. That's everything from me.
Everything from him. Goodbye.
See ya.